Before this video begins, I would just like to remind you guys that the anti-ninja shirts are back. But anyways, let's get into the video. Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about something that I haven't really talked about for book culture yet. But it's an odd situation that I haven't because of the fact that it's kind of overlooked in almost everything that it's going to be mentioned in. But you guys have actually seen it already, if you've read my book. And this is, of course, the Chamber of Heroes. So what exactly is the Chamber of Heroes in my books, specifically the Elemental Multiverse? Well, first of all, we have to look back at the first Universe War, which, if I haven't mentioned it before, it was this huge war that is mostly going to be talked about in the Book of Origins, that was so massive that the entire universe almost fell apart. In fact, it did, because of the fact that it was split into 10 universes, with a few extras put in there for good measure. But that's not what we're going to be specifically talking about today, but rather the Chamber of Heroes. Like I mentioned, it's not really something that you need to necessarily know about, but it is important. Basically, what the Chamber of Heroes is that it's a chamber in the castle of Lorenon that, quite simply, is the last bit of, the last thing to remember several heroes who died in the Universe War. These were people that fought with all their might and everything to save everyone. These people honestly deserve all the credit, but unfortunately, they are gone. These are the heroes of each race, and I'm not kidding about that. Every single race has at least one representative in this hall. The only race that doesn't is the Super Children, who quite simply didn't have any race at that time. There's elementals, there's one for each of the 9 elementals, there's one for each of the Solor, there's one for the Wolor, the humans, the Homans, the Claw, of all 3 types. Literally every single race has someone, even every single species of the Animak, which are animal creatures, which means that literally every single animal has a hero in there. And it's one of the most important places in the castle. It's where a lot of them were buried. Not all of them, obviously, because many of them, their bodies were completely obliterated, or they were buried before they even thought to make the temple, such as the 2 princes of the Wolor and the Solor, with the prince of the Solor having to be burned. And they couldn't bury him like normal, but his ashes are there, because that's a good place for them to be. And that's important. There are several elemental crystals in there, and each one was an important hero. I won't go over every single one of them and how they died, because quite simply, we'd be here all day. But some of them gave their lives in some truly amazing ways. There were Changeoids even in there. There was a Changeoid who was the only other person who survived along with the king of the Changeonoids when the Changeonoids were all turned to darkness, and he refused to let it slide and ran right back to kill as many as he could, and he killed a lot of the dark creatures there, coming back with many heads of all of the dark creatures, with them being burned up as soon as he came back to the light side of Lorenon. And he continued to fight for many, many years in the war, with his death being one of the later ones. And the same goes for a lot of the different people that are buried there. I think, honestly, the Two Princes is one of the most important stories that I will probably be telling, which is one of the reasons why it's probably going to be one of the few of these stories that's actually going to be written in the Book of Origins. And honestly, I think that you guys will probably cry for that story. Every single one of these characters died to protect many others, people that they cared about. Even the founder of the Chosai family, Jara Chosai. And yes, Jara Chosai is part of the reason why Jarakin is named Jarakin. That's where the first half of his name comes from. And he was the founder of the Chosai family, and the forger of Codebreaker, its original form. So, yeah, needless to say, he was extremely important. And there are countless others that I would love to go into detail about, but unfortunately I can't. Many people will come to Lorenon just to see this place, especially the people who are the descendants of these people. While many of them didn't have children, many of them did, or their families did, and then they bring their children back to show that this was their greatest uncle, or close enough for it to be counted. The one that unfortunately is also buried there that doesn't completely make as much sense is the third king of the Claw. While the Water Claw and the Aerial Claw fought in the war for the entire time, the Normal Claw were different. Unfortunately, the Normal Claw were actually on the side of Black Cat for the majority of the war, as I mentioned in my video about Zanda the Kundrik. But her son is buried there. Unfortunately, he did die before the Claw actually went to war and joined the war to actually help the others. And he just simply died because of the fact that someone assassinated him. But the reason that he gained his place there is because of the fact that if he hadn't done what he did, he quite simply wouldn't have saved them, meaning that there wouldn't be any heroes for the Claw. They wouldn't have even had the chance to actually have a place there. So when the Claw were asked, who do you want to be buried here? Who do you want as your hero who helped in this war more than anyone? They said, our king. And even though they got a lot of flack for it, at the beginning, a lot of people actually understood why. And it's now one of the weirdest stories, but he is buried there. His grave was moved from Walk to Lorenon just so that he could be with the rest of them. And he's the only one whose grave was moved. And that's because the Claw considered him to be their greatest hero. And even though he didn't actually fight in the war, he started it and helped them get through it. And they believed that that was worth more than anyone else. So, that's why. Unfortunately, I can't go over anyone else for this story, but honestly, I think that you guys will love the stories for each and every single one of these heroes. Unfortunately, like I said, there are way too many. And I can't ever go over every single Animak or every single Salor, but for now I think that's fine. Telling you these stories is good enough. But anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. And I know that I've been doing a lot of serious book cultures, but I think that these are as important to the culture of the books as the happy moments. So, yeah. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And of course, if you have any questions or theories for other series, then let me know down in the comments below. And if you're new, please subscribe and ring that notification bell because it helps us out a ton. And if you want to continue to help out the channel, then definitely head down to the description below, where, like I said at the beginning of this video, you can get the special merch as well as you can find my book, which is honestly not the best, but it's the beginning, and I think you guys will enjoy it. But anyways, guys, I have been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!